All right, today I want to do something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at the Tudor Black Bay 58, the silver version, but right away you can tell this is different because I have a bracelet on it. Now I don't want to go through the usual reviews. There's infinite amount of reviews by now on the 58. This, from what I understand, is identical to all of the other ones, except on the width. I do believe this is maybe a millimeter thicker simply because this has an exhibition case back. But there's a lot of reviews on this watch. It's one of the most popular dive watches in the world right now. But the reason I do want to make this video is for two reasons. First of all, to talk a little bit about the bracelet, and second of all, to talk about the tarnishing of this watch. This is something I have not seen very many videos of, and the ones I have seen have been a completely different experience than mine. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So right off the bat, the Tudor 58, there are a whole bunch of different variations of it, different colors, different materials, and I went with the silver one. While the original black and gold one is great, I always felt that if I could find a bracelet for this one, this would be the perfect watch for me. This one obviously does not come with a bracelet, and the reason of that is because this is a silver watch. This is made out of sterling silver. And having a silver bracelet would just be very expensive. So this comes in either a NATO strap or a leather strap. But I'm of the opinion that a dive watch needs to have at least a bracelet option. And I asked around a lot before purchasing this watch on people's experience. There were a couple of that I found on Instagram, and everybody told me, I'm not too familiar with the metals. I don't know the long-term effect of it. So I decided to kind of take a risk and be the first one to wear it on a bracelet for a long time. And I have been wearing this on this bracelet for just about 6 months now. And I do want to talk about that. Now the main point here is that this bracelet is clearly not made out of silver. This is made out of stainless steel, and stainless steel is a lot harder than silver. So everybody's fear, including mine to a certain degree, but I still managed to go ahead and risk it, is that the stainless steel would kind of hurt the silver. It would mold it, it would scratch it, it would damage it. So first of all, let's talk about this bracelet. This is a Forstner flat bracelet, flat link, I believe that's what they're called. Now, why did I go with this one? The reason is mainly because of the finish of the silver is very dull. It's not highly polished like most stainless steel watches. So I tried to go with the dullest stainless steel that I can find. Forstner and I think Uncle Seiko have a lot of different Black Bay straps and bracelets, but they're all highly polished, and the contrast between a highly polished stainless steel and silver was just way too big. You can tell that those two weren't originally meant to be together. There was a big difference in the finish, and I found that this was the only fully brushed bracelet that I could find, and I went ahead and tried it. And as you can see here, the difference in the finish does not, and the metals, excuse me, is not highly noticeable, and that's, in my opinion, the most important thing here. Now let's talk about a little bit about the tarnish. I have seen a lot of videos of people doing a review and showing that the silver has aged poorly. I actually just saw a video recently of one that's completely blackened out and they have to completely go and clean it out. That has not been my experience whatsoever. Now, for reference, I have been wearing this for about 6 months every single day. I have not unscrewed this crown in 6 months. The time is actually not correct because of the time change, but I did not want to mess with this. I wore it every single day. And this is really very telling of the finish. There is absolutely nothing on here. There's a little bit of tarnish, and if you look at it under specific light, it does look a little brownish, a little bit goldish. But besides that, there's nothing. Even in the case back, that has full exposure to my skin constantly. I've worn this to the beach a few times. I've worn this out when I get sweaty or in rain, and really this is the result of it. There's not much change in it. If anything, it's gotten a little bit more matte But what I'm trying to say is that in my experience, all of those videos that are out there about the wear and tear of silver and how it ages are not accurate to my experience. Now, the bracelet itself, from what I can tell, there has been really no damage. Now, I will put some footage of this outside. I think lighting has everything to do with how you can really judge the aging of this metal. But from what I can tell, there really is no damage to it. You can tell this isn't exactly a perfect fit. Like I said, this is meant for the non-silver black bays that are a little bit thinner. But besides that, there's no give. I think that is a big reason why there's no damage. This is not wiggling around. This is not moving around. And also kind of important to note that I did purchase this pre-owned, and the previous owner was not careful with this at all. There are some kind of gashes on the metal, some chips. There's a chip on one of the lugs. This was not done through the braces. This was not done through me. I actually purchased it. Like, here it is here. The person who owned this really didn't understand that this was silver and not stainless steel, and they kind of just beat it up way too much. They were not careful with it. But this was not done through the bracelet. But again, you can kind of tell there's a little bit of exposure here that kind of solidifies the attachment to it. There's no give. And really the reason I do want to make this video is because I have heard this so many times where people say if the 925 Black Bay had a bracelet, it'd be the perfect watch. And again, 6 months isn't very long. I do want to see how this does in 2 years, 3 years. But so far it's been absolutely perfect. I've had no issues. This bracelet is super thin. I know some people don't like that. Some people want the heftier, heavy duty bracelet, but I don't. I like this. This is very comfortable. It's very light. And really, there's been no issues whatsoever with this. This is, I guess that's what my ultimate conclusion of all of this, which is there is no damage to the silver as far as I can tell. Now, I have not taken it off, and I really don't want to take it off, but there might be on the lugs or something. But from just wear and tear of every day like this, there has been no damage. And also the tarnishing, there seems to be no tarnishing, as a lot of YouTubers tend to be reporting. You see a little bit there on the crown, but besides that, I have never cleaned this. I've seen people advocate for cleaning with a pencil eraser even. I have not done that. And ultimately, I think it looks fantastic for it being worn every day. And it has not been babied. But besides that, I don't have much more to report. My conclusions are that this aftermarket bracelet, as long as it's steady, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. I don't see any damage. If it does blend very well with the silver. Outside, like you can tell, there was really no real visible damage done. There's no visible, well, there is, but there's no great visible difference in the finish. The bracelet runs for around $125, which is super cheap for a bracelet for a watch of this caliber, I would say. But like usual, I do like to end things with kind of doing some size comparisons. And I did bring out my Seamaster. This actually coincidentally is also on a Forstner strap. I do like these straps quite a bit. But as you can see, they do wear a little bit similarly here. Now, obviously the Seamaster here is quartz, but the Tudor is actually a little bit smaller. These two are probably my two all-time favorite divers. And I just did a review on the Casio Duro last week. You want to check it out, it's in my YouTube channel. But here is really a bigger difference, and I brought this out just not to compare the quality, but to really compare the sizes. The Tudor is thinner, even though it's automatic. It's quite a bit smaller too. This is, I believe, a 44 millimeter. Well, this is a 39 millimeter. Let's compare the lume to the Seamaster a little bit, and then let's throw it on the wrist and see how that wears. Now again, I'm not in complete darkness. I'm not even in close to darkness. I'm pretty broad daylight, but even at that, Tudor lume is pretty fantastic. Let's bring it out here next to the Seamaster. Two great lume. both applied indices, both the pip is loomed, both even the second hand is loomed. Two great options with great lume. Let's go ahead and throw the Tudor on the wrist and talk a little bit more about the bracelet. So on the wrist, it does wear just as any other Tudor would wear, any other Black Bay. It's super thin, it's super comfortable. Now this bracelet does hug the wrist really well. Because of its thinness, because of its flexibility, it does hug it really well. I do wear this a little bit loose, but that's really how I like it. And ultimately, I can't recommend this one enough. It's such a great bracelet for such a great price, and it's a good option for a watch that really does not have any other bracelet option out there.